guys.
Hello. Hello.
Time to
Hello
film
there.
Megan.
Hi, my name is Megan Flores, and I will be presenting a speech to you called Stalking a Serial Killer.
Ooh. Interesting.
So, as I gather my cards. Chaos is one word that the American culture is very fond of, and we love it, and it's something that we can't look away from. With crime comes chaos, and a fascination that builds with the type of person that could come up with this kind of chaos. However, that fascination cannot grow without a type of fuel that is fueled by the media. Among television shows, films, documentaries, interviews, a fan base has sprung up from it. A definition by a professor of sociology and criminology at the University of Alberta in Canada and a current PhD student currently attending there says, serial killing is the rarest form of homicide, occurring when an individual has killed 3 or more people who were previously unknown to him or her, with a cooling off period between each murder, quoted by Ellerbrook and Haggerty. Crime television and psychological shows create intrigue with this kind of media. Something that is so alluring about serial killers is their mind. There's a psychological state that many people are interested in, and it draws their attention to that type of thing. So with crime television and psychological shows, there's a type of psychological killer that were shown in a cinematic way that brought light to them and in a way that many people were able to relate to in an odd way. They were able to be introduced into the mind of the serial killer rather than just seeing the outcome of something. I believe that the unknown is something that mankind both fears and is curious about at the same time. It's something that they're not able to control like they so desperately crave. So in 1888 in London, England, there was a killer who preyed on young female prostitutes. I believe we all know the name of that killer, which is Jack the Ripper. And although he is so infamous of a killer, his true identity was never actually truly discovered. Many people believe it was H.H. Holmes, who ran a tortured castle of sorts and killed many different women. However, the true identity was never solved. There wasn't the right amount of technology or testing that was able to be done in that time. He is one of the killers who is most iconic in history. However, this isn't exactly where the obsession of serial killers began. That brings me to the 70s decade. This is a time of partying and drugs and violent protest, as well as a certain surge of serial killers. A few of the most infamous serial killers are Ted Bundy, who killed between 1974 and 1978, Jeffrey Dahmer, who killed between 1978 and 1991, and John Wayne Gacy, or the Killer Clown, who killed between 1972 and 1978. As you can tell, they take on very different appearances. Many people have said that the appearance of Ted Bundy was not one of a killer. He was not capable of it. He was too handsome, too normal. He went to church growing up. However, you can see some of the other ones are more of a distressed look, and they could take on the look of a killer. And so that's something that's a little bit scary about. You never know who exactly could be that type of killer. So, continuing on with that, there is a certain fascination with daunting killers that arises time and time again. There are films made, thrillers and slashers that have evolved over time. Some of them are Bates Motel, Dexter, American Psycho, Slasher, and one of our most recent ones, which is Conversations with Killer. And these are ones that have captured a whole lot of attention and have created a fan base that has grown exponentially. In 2013, the Bates Motel was created, and over time it has received an 8.2 out of 10 on IMDb, quoted from IMDb, and a 96% watch rate on Google users. The Ted Bundy tapes received a 7.9 out of 10 on IMDb and a 92% of Google users. So these types of films shed light on these infamous killers, which create a more abundant fan base and more curiosity that is sprung from it. So let's look at why people are so fascinated with serial killers. There have been many arguments made over the Alfred Hitchcock movie Psycho, over whether or not that was a trend whether that was a movie that started a psychological thriller trend of whether or not people change their opinions on horror movies and without having the cliche horror monster per se, but rather it was a human. A lot of people say that that wasn't the original. Many people say that it was. However, I don't believe that anyone can deny that it did play a big role in helping create at least that type of genre. It is very difficult to tell though with all the different opinions. An author of the name David Schmid says that the delicate issue of whether the fame of serial killers in contemporary American culture is due partly to the way they inspire feelings of fascination, perhaps even admiration, as well as revulsion in many people. This is something that has allowed people to look inside the mind of a killer, and in many ways, just like the author David Smith said, people are fascinated by it, and many people can relate to it as well, almost. And the way of, if anyone has ever seen Conversations with the Killer, the Ted Bundy tapes, there is a way in which we kind of almost sympathize or empathize with him. There are many things about him that are charming, and so I think that a lot of psychological killers are very relatable because in many ways they're like normal people. However, it's all inside the mind, which is something that's so intriguing and brings out all the curiosity. Because inside the mind, there's a certain struggle between morality and a sadistic instinct, which these people will fight off each day, and whether or not they are capable of murdering another human being. This isn't to say that all cases are the same as far as a killer's mind. I believe that all psychological states are different. However, this is a common theme in many of the serial killers that were studied. Many traits that were brought into light by Burgmeester, who was a student of the University of Amsterdam, who studied neuropsychology, says that many of the common traits of a serial killer are narcissism, masochistic, impulsive, guilt-free, or controlling. And I believe that can create a certain curiosity among many people, because that type of curiosity that is sprung from all those different characteristics is really mind-boggling. There's a certain allure to the danger around serial killers. Many people are very curious about the mental state of how could someone do something so horrible. what kind of person could do this, what kind of person could destroy these types of lives. And I believe that as humans, we have this curiosity and a need to know type basis of, I need to know how this mind works. What is the type of psychological state that these people are in that allow them to be capable of such a heinous crime. Like I said before, I believe there will forever be a type of infatuation with serial killers' minds. We are heavily fed by media and television and film and more, and so there's always going to be a type of interest there. Also, as I said before, you can never really tell who might be around you. It's a complete mental state that these people are in, regardless of their appearance. Like I showed before, between Ted Bundy and Jeffrey Dahmer, who looks more capable of murder? I think that many people would say that there's a normality to Ted Bundy that there wasn't about Jeffrey Dahmer. So who would be capable of becoming such a malicious character? Many people said that John Wayne Gacy was just like an average Joe, an average type of man, and then it turns out that he was a serial killer and he murdered multiple children. And so I believe that the psychology of a mind is a never-ending curiosity that will come about, and these certain questions of what type of person could do this will always keep bringing people back. So, thank you.